I'm Anna Zielinski, and welcome back to the Producer's Desk. Okay, so today we're talking about script breakdown, back of the napkin style. Now, this is a breakdown that I do way before I actually break down a script in a more detailed fashion for using a software, say Movie Magic, something like that. This is when I use this tool, it's because I'm in a very preliminary phase with an EP. We are looking for money and we want to understand the scope of the script. Okay, and I gotta tell you, this is easy. It's free. It only takes paper and pencil. What you're looking for are the cost drivers of the script, so that you can wrap your head around these big ticket items and understand the scope of the script. And then from there, I can usually assess whether $1 million is enough. Is it got to be $1.2 million? Can we do it a little lower? What you have to remember in indie filmmaking is that we're always doing a lot of reverse engineering. We don't have a money tree in the backyard, so it's not like we can go, hey, here's this script, let's go shoot it for whatever it costs. It's usually, hey, I can only get about $1 million. Can we do it for this? Okay, so that's what I'm excited about sharing with you today. So let's get straight into it. All right. So when the producer comes to me and says, hey, can I do this for $1 million? I start with the number one category that you would imagine that you need to break down, which is the biggest ticket item of a script, which is cast, right? So when I look at a script for cast, I read through and I break it down into 4 categories. I'm looking for the leads, the supporting characters, the day players, and background. So leads, as you would know, would be the characters that the movie's about. You can have 1 lead, you can have 2 leads, depending on the type of story you have. But this is the characters, these are the characters that have the most real estate, right? And then you have supporting characters which support those characters' arcs. There are the buddy character, the best friend, the family. So we'll do a head count of those, and then we'll do day players. Day players are near and dear to my heart. Those are those 1 day, 2 day players that are in your script. And I got to tell you, back in the day, I was an actress, and I lived for those parts. Those are the best parts. And those are the days where you come in, and I would just rehearse all day long for that one line, which wouldn't come till the end of the shoot day. So I'm probably there about 8 hours. And then you get to go onto camera and you do your line and you go, really? Did you really do that? I'm trying to think of the line because my very first day player role was on How I Met Your Mother. So if you ever watched the pilot, you can go there and I'm the cute girl at the end. And I think I said, did you really do that? I swear I rehearsed that line like 100 times. So anyway, I love day players. They're important to your script. When I do this breakdown, I just do a head count and don't really lay it out by character name. And then there'll be the background. As you know, background is so essential to your movie. They create the ambiance. You're looking for big ticket items there. So let's go to an example, because I like to give examples. I've done a breakdown of a script that we are calling our untitled action thriller, and it is based in very limited locations, and it is something that I feel like I can do for $1 million, but I'm going to show you why. And when you see the breakdown, you're going to go, oh, I get it. I see how all the elements kind of work towards us being able to do it for that budget. So let's cut to my trusty graphic here and let's get into this breakdown. So let's jump right into my breakdown here that I've already started with the categories I just mentioned. So as you can see here, I've got cast. I have got it broken down into leads, supporting, day players, and background, as I mentioned. So in our untitled action thriller, our leads are Detective Randy, psychologist Dr. Ann, and our bad guy is Jason. So pretty straightforward, nothing much there. And moving on to supporting would be the family characters of John, Cindy, and Ryan, and I notated their ages. along with Captain King, Peter, who's the station manager, Grace, the best friend, and Emily, the show producer. So again, these are the supporting characters supporting the narrative in our action thriller. Dr. Ann's family gets kidnapped by the bad guy and held hostage, and it's up to Detective Randy and his trusty captain here to find them. It's a pretty good thriller, and it's self-contained, so we were really excited about this script because, again, $1 million, this felt doable. Day players, as you'll see here, I just notated they're just various. When I did the head count, it was just 15 in here between cops and radio station employees. And then with the background, there were no big crowd scenes. So again, I was looking for anything outside of the typical. And here, as you can see, I only had 20 background peppered throughout. So really happy about this when I did this breakdown. Okay, so that's cast in a nutshell. Yeah, as I mentioned, I started off as an actor here in LA. I have a soft spot for actors in the process here. But truthfully, it's made me a better producer because I know what it takes to create that safe, creative space for actors while still keeping a very efficient production. So it's helped me be more empathetic. Okay, so again, at the end of the day, the tip here is you're looking for anything outstanding. Are there like 50 supporting characters and hundreds of background? I'm looking for those things to just earmark right now and make note of during this phase. All right, so now we're going to move on to the next big ticket item, which is locations. And this is something that can really make or break your production. And on an indie budget, you really want to be able to get creative there. Really choosing your locations wisely. Can you consolidate your locations in your script to really maximize your budget? So I was looking with that same lens when I read this script for anything that jumped out at me. So come with me here. So again, our action thriller takes place in one location, which is the radio station. And this is great because, as you can see here, in the radio station, we have several sets: the lobby, the on-air studio, the station manager's office, the control booth, and a rooftop scene. So, and I want to stress the difference here. The location is the practical space, and the set is what you would shoot within the location. Another example here is Anne's house, the psychologist's house. We have scenes in the kitchen, the bathroom, the bedroom, and the garage. So this is great because you can see that you can shoot a lot of the scenes in the movie in just these two locations. Now, follow me here. I want to show you a couple things here. There was a homeless shelter. There's a hospital. There's a dungeon. There's exterior roads. There's a cafe. But look what I notated here. I notated one scene was just in the hospital, one in the dungeon, and one in the cafe. I did that, and this is what I'm also looking for when I do this breakdown, are those one-offs. Because those one-offs can really get expensive. Can you imagine just having to go to a cafe for one scene? You're like, that's going to break my budget. Especially cafes, restaurants, those are hard to, it's just, they're not cost-friendly, right? Because a lot of times, if you're negotiating rates with the owners, you have to pay them at least what they would make for the day that they are open. So this is another space where you can get really creative. So at this phase, all I do is I notate this because this is a discussion that I want to have with my EPs as to, hey, do we have some creative license here to be able to consolidate? Do we really need these sets to pull off the story, to pull off that scene? So I'll come back to this after I show you the adjustments we made after we had the discussion, but here is just where you notate those things. So pretty straightforward, huh? That's what I thought. See, I told you it's pretty darn easy. Our next big ticket item that I look for is production design. This is the feel, this is the mood, this is something that's very important to a film, even something like this script where it's just a walking, talking movie. everything's inside, but you still want, because it's a thriller, you want to create that ambiance. I'm looking for anything that jumps out at me that could be maybe a possible build. Is there something specific that it's not easily sourced? Again, luckily the radio station in this one is the only one that jumped out at me. So let me show you here. So in my breakdown, what I notated is that the radio station interior could be a possible build. I want to be able to try to source this practically. I won't know until we actually get to scout. But remember, we're still at the very beginning here. We're still shopping for money. We're trying to wrap our heads around the scope of our movie, and can I do it for the $1 million? So at this point, I just notate it. Along with the homeless shelter, there was a scene that was in the sleeping area. And these sort of sets can be tricky, especially like here in LA, we have many of these shelters that have dining areas, maybe some common areas, not a lot of sleeping or dormitory type areas. And then you probably don't even want to shoot in some of these places. So in my mind, it's like, all right, if we're in LA, we would have to maybe create that set. So again, this is notated here. And as you can see, I notated, can we move the scene to the lobby area or an eating area? Again, points for discussion. These are just like little yellow flags at this point to bring up to say, hey, these things could push the budget. Okay. So after I've looked at these top 3 things, then I'm looking for other things like, let's go to our graphic here, vehicles, VFX, stunts, and wardrobe. Okay. And, you might think, oh, a vehicle, a family car, one of the things, yep, those aren't too bad. And you can source these things. But in our script here, we also had a stunt vehicle. We have a car chase. Which you can see here, I notated under VFX and stunts as well. So these are big ticket items. These are things that can be labor intensive, cost you a little bit more with insurance. So definitely things that I want to mark and put down. And then these things are up for discussion. I'm always pushing the envelope here of finding that balance between the narrative and the dollar. So these conversations sometimes are welcome, sometimes they're not. Nonetheless, I have the conversation, and when I do, we always find a happy medium. So let me show you the adjustments we made to this script based on just me highlighting these things that we've talked about. So these are the adjustments that we made to the script once we've had our coffee talk. Nothing really changed with cast. We were good there. And locations, remember the 3 I was telling you about, the hospital, the dungeon, the cafe. After we talked with the writer, we talked it out. We realized that these scenes weren't necessarily tied to those sets or locations. In this case, these are locations, a hospital, but the set would have been the hospital bed, right? We are moving those to another location, and we're consolidating those into the others here. So basically the scene in the hospital can go into the house. The dungeon scene could go in the house because we're going to try to source something with a basement or a dark room or something we can dress to look like that. And then the cafe, we opted to put out on one of the streets, like in front of one of these locations. Because you would imagine if we sourced in a radio station or a house or what have you, you have exterior streets, any of those places would work. Again, we don't know for sure until we scout, but we knew that it wasn't tied to the set, which is the key there. Okay, so that's a huge savings. You know that, right? You're thinking, yeah, this is great. You've cut your locations in half. These are the kind of things that you're looking for at this phase of the breakdown. So with production design, jump here with me. Same sort of conclusion we came to here was waiting until the scout to be able to determine whether or not we needed to build for both of these locations. And again, if I know that and I'm going to put that note of wait till scout, I will purposely inflate that line when I budget it, knowing that I might need it. And if I don't need it, hey, then I have extra money in those lines that I can move elsewhere. You don't want to be the person that has to go back to the investor to ask for more money. No. So if there's a way, if you can pad a line, do it. Because it is no fun going back and going, yeah, so I kind of made a mistake. Yeah, and I've had to do that before. So my mistakes, I want you to learn from. Nothing big changed with the vehicles. VFX conversation did change here. I said, hey, do you really need this car chase? And what we figured out was that, yes, we needed the car chase, but they were willing to modify the stunt scene and basically a lot what it would have cost for that stunt scene, make it smaller. Let's put it into the car chase because that's a real like anchor in the script. It's a really cool production value type scene. So that was the decision we made. I felt good about that and felt like we could do it, and no change to wardrobe. So the key takeaways here from this breakdown for me would be, I've got a 90-page script. I'm going to shoot for 15 shoot days on this, which is 3 5-day weeks. I've got 10 characters, 20 background. We reduced the 7 locations down to 3. I know I've got 3 vehicles. There's going to be moderate art direction and props and moderate VFX. So in summary, this breakdown allows you to take off that creative hat for a second, put on the producer hat, and really gain that financial and creative control. So when you get your funding, you can hire your line producer, your first AD to do that more detailed scheduled breakdown. But this way you're going to be a better partner to those folks because you know your script inside out, and now together you can avoid the pitfalls that come from lack of preparation. And that's all this is about, is just giving you those tools to just move one step ahead in making your film a reality. So give this a try. It's super easy. I love to hear your comments. Put them below. Hit the like. Share this with everyone. Do what you're supposed to do down there. And remember, together we create.